Yeah, it's baby steps, and I'd say this to a lot of people, and this is something I dealt with myself. The hardest part when you're starting to work on your credit is getting all three reports and looking at it. For a lot of people, that was me because I didn't want to touch it, I didn't want to see it. But like the problem with when you do that, you create this boogie monster, boogeyman that's always lurking in the background, that's always there, and that you don't look at it, but then you're going to apply for something that requires a credit check, and that person or company is going to look at it and see it, and then you have to sit there on the other end. I've been there before.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Infinite Abilities Podcast. I am your host, Nick Yerhart, and we are here to encourage each other to find our own unique abilities. Let's go. All right, everyone. So today I have a new friend of mine, Matt, and he is awesome. We work together on podcasting and learn from each other, so I'm excited to have him on the show. So, Matt, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hey, Nick, thanks for having me on, man. Yeah, so where do I start? I'll tell you this. During the day, I help people with their credit and some life coaching, and at night, I fight ninjas. You're welcome. That's it. Mic drop. That's all I do.
That's it. We can just end the show right there.
End the show right now. That's it. Okay,
Done.
wow. So, yeah, so I guess I can start with my story. It's a very interesting one. I've had a journey of just trying out different things, of really trying to figure out, I guess, who I am, and then what is it that I've been wanting to do. And that's been a journey that is, sometimes I feel like I'm never going to get to where I want to be, and feeling down on myself, and ended up doing with credit, ironically enough. The one thing that, like, you know, the conversation that you get as a kid, where your parents sit you down and they're like, son or daughter, we need to talk to you, and you're like, oh no, is this gonna be the talk? And they're like, we need to talk to you about credit. And you're like, oh no, not credit. Yeah, that conversation that never happens. Yeah, that one I never got. And looking over, it's been a journey of, okay, I want to do something to help people and be an entrepreneur, but what is it? And ended up being the credit side, because at 27, back in 2013, I declared bankruptcy at 27. And I was like, wow, this is an interesting experience, because for some reason at that point, I thought only people who were like in the 40s and 50s and 60s declared bankruptcy, not someone who's 27. And yet here I was at the courthouse going like, oh, this is great. So I decided to get into credit repair then, and then over the course of, it's been 10 years, so 11 years. It's been on and off, but I've been doing credit repair for 6 years, the last 6 years full time, and going through that period of that, I've learned a couple things about, you know, financial literacy, credit, and how it impacts you as a person. And where it comes to me. And I can tell you this, like, three things out of it. One, credit does more to you when you're living a bad credit. It does more to you than just, you know, causes you to have a harder life. It has an emotional toll on you that a lot of people don't talk about. I know for me, it was one thing I realized, that it was emotional, of like really eating away at my confidence, and I was already insecure. So that's one thing. Two, a lot of people don't realize, the other thing people don't realize, that yes, if you're trying to get a car or a home or borrow money, it costs you more money. But what people don't realize, that it can also deny you opportunities to make money. It happened with me, with trying to get an opportunity with your life. And then the third thing I would say is that it's not something that has to determine your life. You're the determining factor in your life, ultimately. And you would know that because I've seen your videos. You're always like, your abilities are infinite. You can do this. Look what I can do. And I'm like, if he can do that, what the hell am I doing? You know. And three things I can share with that. And so through that journey, I've worked with a lot of people, and seeing how the lack of just knowledge on it, and how it just wreaks havoc on their life. They're trying to get a house, they're trying to grow the business, and they just seem so confused about it. And it's like, you don't have to be that. You have to sit down, let's have a conversation, look at it, and then life coaching aspect, you know, that kicks in later. But that's one thing I definitely share that people just don't understand. And it's such a personal topic. And we put a lot of shame and guilt around it. And I've had that. And it's like, you don't have to. So my whole thing is like, you can change this. You have the power to do so. And let's sit down and talk about it and look at it and not judge yourself for it. So, and then I guess a bit more about myself. I started in the Marine Corps too as well. So I'm a veteran. So yes.
Well, thank you for your service.
Thank you.
So, but yeah, improving your credit, it's a challenge, but like some people think like they have to like do a lot at one time. It's like just take baby steps, do little things to get started, and just work out and keep working at it. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I would. It's baby steps, and I'd say this to a lot of people, and this is something I dealt with myself. The hardest part when you're starting to work on your credit is getting all 3 reports and looking at it. For a lot of people, that was me because I didn't want to touch it, I didn't want to see it. But like the problem with when you do that, you create this boogeyman that's always lurking in the background. That's always there, and that you don't look at it, but then you're going to apply for something that requires a credit check, and that person or company is going to look at it and see it, and then you have to sit there on the other end. And I've been there before, hope and pray that like you get approved, and they're like, no, we can't, or if or they're like, yeah, you can have a co-signer, and then you can put down like $2,000, and it's like, I don't want to do that for a car. And that is, like I said, it's baby steps. And just getting taking the first step and just getting all important, looking at it for what it is. Yes, you're going to feel some type of way. End of the day, is just looking at your credit report and just understanding it, the different tiers, and saying, okay, this is the information that's on there. And all it is information, and looking for what's correct, what's outdated information, anything that shouldn't be on there, anything that you're not aware of, and then just starting there, and then you can move on to disputing any items on there, and then also the other side people don't talk about is rebuilding credit if you have to add new credit to your name and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I think it's important for people to talk to somebody that knows this space, because I like to say you don't know what you don't know, and like for me, last year I racked up a lot of debt, and I was paying thousands towards my credit card payments a month.
Yeah.
And I was just like drowning, because, if you make just the minimum payment, you don't get very far.
No,
so
it's a trap.
Thankfully, through my podcast, I met someone who is a professional in that space. This was before me and you started talking. But, he told me what to do and how to get out of that. And within like 2 weeks, I paid off all that debt with a different style loan. But, my payments are, $1,800 less now than they were before.
Yeah.
So like that's huge. And the line of credit that I use, like I had heard of it, but I didn't know what it was. And they told me, go get this line of credit and pay off everything. So I did.
Smart. Yeah, and that's a big part of for a lot of people. It's again, not being taught about credit cards and credit in general. So a lot of people will get all these credit cards, and you're not an entrepreneur, so it's different. But for the average person, they'll get in, just spend. And then now with the economy, it's been, people aren't spending it just to buy stuff. They're putting money, they're using credit cards just to survive. And that's not good. At the end of the day, what I tell people, and it's more than just having a credit card and not having a high balance. It's also like credit cards are 30% of your credit score. It's also understanding how your credit score grows. If you have stuff that was charged off, when the collections, defaults, late payments, the laws around how things are supposed to be reported on your credit report. If you have something with the collections, how do you deal with the debt collector and what they're supposed to do based off the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, and why. I'll say this. people sometimes to this day, I get this every now and then, but more so I'll get this. They'll say, well, yeah, these debts are mine, but like, how can I dispute them? I'm like, you don't understand. The Fair Credit Reporting Act, I want everyone to hear this. The Fair Credit Reporting Act gives you the right to dispute anything on your file that you deem is erroneous, or outdated, or you don't know what the heck it is, because the onus of the reporting is on the bureaus, creditors, and debt collectors. It's not on you or me. So that's why. Because let me ask you this, Nick. When was the last time you sat down at the end of the day and you're like, okay, let me make these reports in my credit report? You didn't do that. Your creditors did, line of credit, whatever they did. And so they make mistakes, whether it be intentional or something stupid. And then that's your information, personal information. I'll say this too as well. That is being sold to other companies. That's why you get these pre-approvals in the mail, all that stuff, right? Mm-hmm. And they're not paying for it. So, Nick, let me ask this. When was the last time, last week, you opened the mail and you're like, oh, I have a check from the bureaus for selling my personal data to people? Never. You know? Never. And that's why, folks. So it doesn't matter if you owe the debt, and there's reasons why you shouldn't pay it, that you can still dispute it because it's your right. So understand that. You have rights when it comes to stuff because that's there to protect you. Otherwise, and what's happening now, people are just getting ran over, paying all this money to these to collection agencies, wage guardsmen. It's like, you don't have to do that. Understand this stuff, and just let's bypass the fear and just do this. You know, you have rights. Use them.
Yep. See, this is exactly why it's important to talk to someone who knows everything about this, like yourself. So, anybody listening, you need help with this, you know who to contact. So, like for me, before I got into my little pickle last year, where I couldn't make my. So what I do is I use my credit cards to my advantage, not the credit card company. So what some people don't know is if you pay off your credit card every month, you don't pay interest. And like for the cards I have, I get rewards and points back. So like what I do is instead of using my debit card for my daily things that I buy, I use my credit card, but I know how much I can spend. I know how much I make a month, and I know what I can pay off. So I can pay it off every month, and that's huge. And that really helps your credit score a lot.
It does, and that's where people get into budgeting, and a lot of people don't want to budget. And the reason being is because we've been taught since you were young that a budget means you can't do anything, you're limited to what you can do, and blah blah blah. And that's not the case. A budget is really you taking control of the money that you're bringing in, saying, okay, I'm going to spend it here, here, and here. And also more important, it's helping you being aware of where you've been spending your money. Because a lot of people don't know where they're spending it on, and then going, okay, let's direct it to here. The other thing I want to add on to a budget that people don't understand, and there's a good audio series by, I think the guy's name is Garrett Gunderson. It's called Why Budgeting Sucks, and it give you a different way to pay off debt and things. It's really good. Mm-hmm. And a better way to look at your budget is, or one important way that I tell people, because I also teach financial literacy to children 10 up, because I have a virtual financial literacy course, is that your budget isn't something that's is set in stone for the rest of your life. There's a thing called change that happens. You change, your family changes, things in your life happen, the economy does crazy things. And so if your budget's $4K a month, you can't assume that's how it's going to be for the rest of your life. Yeah. And then the other thing too, I'll say on this, is that people say live within your means. You want to increase your means, so this way you can say living within your means. This way you're not always limited to what you're doing. Because if your means are 4K a month, but then you, let's say, get to 5, then 6, then 7, and progressively more, that's a good thing. You have more wiggle room. You can put more in savings. You invest more. You have more stuff. So that way you're living, more comfortable versus I'm at 4,000 a month and I can't do anything and I have to eat rice and beans. Very few people do that. Like those. Nick, have you seen those articles where You see people that I paid off $500,000 in my student loan debt and all this other crap, right? And they did within 3-4 years. Have you seen those?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I look at those, I go, great, you are the mutant of the human race that did that. You're the anomaly. You did that, and very few people are going to do that. That just didn't do anything. They just worked all the time, ate. I'm like, no one wants to do that. It's not really sustainable. No. So, thanks. You made yourself look like a dummy. that's why I look at it. It's not realistic. It's not sustainable. Like, be real. You're gonna want to do stuff. It's like I've heard from people that are big with dieting. Like, you have to make a diet that's sustainable where you're getting healthy. In this case, getting healthy with your finances, but you're also allowing yourself to have fun along the way and do things versus let me just restrict myself, because as a human being, you're always going to want to do something. And if you stifle that, you'll be miserable for the rest of your life.
Yeah. I agree, I agree. So I want to know, outside of working and podcasting, how do you like to spend your time?
I fight ninjas, Nick. I fight ninjas. Or I like to pretend I'm Deadpool from Marvel and go, you can't hurt me. Just kidding now. That's a good question. I like to do, man, I'm a big on working out, so I like to run, and running is like a form of therapy for me. I'll do that. I'm a gamer. I don't care what anyone says. I'll put up my PlayStation on Saturdays, but that's it. I've gotten more into going outside and grounding myself, putting my bare feet in the ground, is letting my body absorb the negative ions of the planet. Reading is a good thing. I do want to get back to reading more Stephen King. There's a book I want to finish, but doing that, spend time with my girlfriend, and we go to a farmer's markets and just enjoy the fresh fruit and the vegetables and things we get, hanging out with friends and just enjoying life other than working and stuff. And, just enjoying life and being appreciative of what I have, my health, my mobility, and being happy, because you can be happy now despite, what's happening in the world and everything else. And I've really have come into that lately, especially since, as records, my birthday was last Sunday. And it's wow, I made 39, life is good. I may not be where I want to be, but I have a lot of good things going for me. And that's awesome.
Yeah, that is awesome. And, one thing that I've realized is the more positive and happy I am, the more positive and happy the world is. You start to tune out the negativity. Just focus on your happiness and stop worrying about what else is going on. Just focus on you and the people around you. It makes a big difference.
Yeah, it does, because it's especially nowadays with social media, it's real easy to, you see something you don't agree with, and even with me, you're like, oh, I don't like it, and I'm like, let me just stop, I don't care. Or you hear someone say something stupid, you're like, and I'm like, whatever. If as long as you just let it go, because then I also tell myself, you can argue with them, it won't be worth it. 2, that person is unhappy and thinks that if they deal with all the stuff on the outside, they'll be happy when they're not. And I'm like, all right, I let it go. I'm like, I'm good. Let them be miserable. You have free will. Free will in this life to be miserable in what you created, or you can choose to be happy. It's their choice.
I agree. All right. So my slogan is, your abilities are infinite. What does that mean to you?
What does that mean to me? It means that, it means, I'm defining what it means today, Nick, and from now on, it's what it means because I said so.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, I'm defining, no, to me, what it means is you are infinite. You can do anything that you want. Like you said, your abilities are infinite. You're only limited by you and your imagination and your beliefs and what you think you can't do, and that you have the capability and resources and power within you to create the life you want and do what you want. The only person that will be back is yourself, and that's empowering. It's only you, because if not you, then you're pretty much screwed. If it's someone else, it doesn't matter who it is. You have sovereignty. You have infinite power. No one has power over you, so therefore your abilities are infinite. You have the power. So just go out and just go out and just go for it.
Exactly. Let's go. All right. So how can people reach out to you, and then what is your podcast?
Okay, so I have a podcast called the Financial Life. You can find it on Spotify. It's on Apple Podcasts. A lot of guests on it. Nick, you were on an episode, which I did. I think I got to upload. I got to check, but you're on there. If you want to reach out to me and want to talk to me more about credits and other things, you financial literacy, life coaching, you can go to you can book a call with me. Speakwithmatt.info. Again, speakwithmatt.info. Matt with 2 T's. For whatever reason, if you put in the www, it won't work. So just speakwithmatt.info, and we can talk there. And also we can talk about giving you a copy of a book I co-author called Born the Risk. It's really good. I got my story along with like 40 other authors I'm part of, and that's it.
Awesome. This has been really great. So thank you so much.
Thanks for having me on, Nick. Appreciate it.
If you enjoyed this show, please go ahead and share it on your Instagram story and tag me in the Nick Yerhart. Also, go ahead and share it anywhere else that you see fit, because the only way that I can grow this is by you guys sharing it. I don't sell anything on here. I don't have any sponsors, so let's just get it out there by word of mouth and help more people. Alright, everyone, remember, your abilities are infinite.